Let us express our gratitude to all the masters. So before that, try to come back by giving yourself time. Feel your body. Now let us be thankful for the masters, for all the masters, for the universe. Gratitude to our body, to our breath, to our soul, and gratitude to all beings on this planet Earth. Gratitude to Mother Earth. Now slowly unlock your fingers and place them over eyes for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Now slowly open your eyes. Please have some water, or you can still continue the meditation. Now, let us go into our insights, the book which is full of insights, Celestine Prophecy, written by James Redfield. We are now into 8th insight, friends, about the interpersonal ethic. So the Pablo, who James met in that place, so where everyone were kept for questioning about the manuscript. So he shared about a few insights about few wisdom about the 8th insight, and he said just 8th insight warns against something he called out. It warns against your growth being stopped. It happens when you become addicted to another person. So that Pablo's warning was echoing in James' head. So addiction to another person, what did he mean by that? What kind of addiction? Addiction to another person. What did he mean that? What kind of addiction? The 8th insight, so Carla. So this Carla, so how James met this Carla is in that place. So the people who kept for questioning, so there he met Marjorie. So Marjorie also was taken away by the soldiers. So Marjorie and James, they both planned and they escaped from that place. So on the way they met Carla. So she started to explain that 8th insight. The Carla explained is about using energy in a new way when relating to people in general, but it begins at the beginning with children. So she said about, the 8th insight begins with the children. How should we view children? So James asked. We should view them as they really are, as endpoints in evolution that lead us forward. But in order to learn to evolve, they need our energy on a constant basis, unconditionally. The worst thing that can be done to children is to drain their energy while correcting them. This is what creates control dramas in them, as you already know. But these learned manipulations on the child's part can be avoided if the adults give them all the energy they need, no matter what the situation. That is why they should always be included in conversations, especially conversations about them. And you should never take responsibility for more children than you give attention to. The point about the number of children is highly stressed in manuscript, because any one adult can only focus on and give attention to one child at a time. If there are too many children for the number of adults, then the adults become overwhelmed and unable to give enough energy. The children begin to compete with each other for the adults' time. But wait a minute, James said to Carla. In many situations, both parents must work to survive. This denies them the right to have children. Not necessarily, she replied. The manuscript says humans will learn to extend their families beyond blood ties so that someone else is able to provide one-on-one attention. All the energy does not have to come from the parents alone. In fact, it is better if it is does not. But whoever cares for the children must provide this one-on-one attention. So Carla said that since 2 years, she is trying to relate to Marta, so her daughter, 5 years old daughter, according to manuscript guidelines. So Carla continued, children figure these out quickly because they stay the same. Words or distortions created on the spot by adults just because they want to have a little fun and because they believe the truth is too complicated for a children to comprehend. But this is not right. The truth can always be expressed at a child's level of understanding. It just takes some thought. It says we should always find a way to tell a child the truth. So this what she meant here is, so when children questions adults, like to know, so they always question us about the universe or about, especially here, she mentions about how children, how kids are coming into this world. So she meant to try to explain the children at their level of understanding, but don't give the fascinate answers or stories. Okay, so this is what the Carla meant. So James want to know more about addiction to people from Carla. So this 8th insight is also about the people. So she said, when one first learns to be clear and engage one's evolution, any one of us can be stopped suddenly by an addiction to another person. The manuscript explains why power struggles arise in romantic relationships. We have always wondered what causes the bliss and euphoria of love to end, to suddenly turn into conflict, and now we know. It is a result of the flow of energy between the individuals involved. When love first happens, the two individuals are giving each other energy unconsciously, and both people feel beyond and elated. That is the incredible high we all call being in love. Unfortunately, once they expect this feeling to come from the other person, they cut themselves off from the energy in the universe and begin to rely even more on the energy from each other. Only now there doesn't seem to be enough, and so they stop giving each other energy and fall back into their dramas in an attempt to control each other and force the other's energy their way. At this point, the relationship degenerates into the usual power struggle. The reason we can become addicted to someone of the opposite sex is that we have yet to access this opposite sex energy ourselves. You see, the mystical energy that we can tap as an inner source is both male and female. We can eventually open up to it. But when we first begin to evolve, we have to be careful. The integration process takes some time. If we connect prematurely, if we connect prematurely with a human source for our female or male energy, we block the universal supply. Think of how this integration is supposed to work in an ideal family, she explained, and then perhaps you can see what I mean. In any family, the child must first receive energy from the adults in his life, usually identifying with and integrating the energy of the same-sexed parent is accomplished easily. But receiving energy from the other parent can be more difficult because of the differences in the sexes. The problem, she went on, is that most parents up to now have been competing with their own children for energy, and that has affected all of us. Because this competition was taking place, none of us have quite resolved this opposite sex issue. We are all stuck at the stage where we are still looking for our opposite sex energy outside of ourselves in the person of a male or female we can think of as ideal and magical and can possess sexually. According to the eighth insight, when we first begin to evolve, we automatically begin to receive our opposite sex energy. If it comes in naturally from the energy in the universe. But we must be careful because if another person comes along who offers this energy directly, we can cut ourselves off from the true source and regress. You know, we look like the letter C. So we means our energy, like we ourselves, she meant. So we look like the letter C, that alphabet letter C. We are very susceptible to a person of the opposite sex. Some other circle half complete, coming up and joining with us, completing the circle that way and giving us a burst of euphoria and energy that feels like the wholeness that a full connection with the universe produces. In reality, we have only joined up with another person who is looking for their own half on the outside too. This is a classical codependent relationship, and that it has the built-in problems that begin to arise immediately. You see, the problem with this complicated person, this zero, that means the two C's, when we combine alphabet letters, two C on opposite sides, it becomes like a O or zero. That both people think they have reached the zero state is that it has taken two people to make this one whole person, one supplying the female energy and one supplying the male. This one whole person consequently has two heads or egos. Both people want to run this whole person they have created, and so just as in childhood, both people want to command the other as if the other were themselves. This kind of illusion of completeness always breaks down into a power struggle. In the end, each person must take the other for granted and even invalidate them so that they can lead this whole self in the direction they want to go. But of course, that doesn't work, at least not anymore. Perhaps in the past, one of the parents was willing to submit themselves in the other, usually the woman, sometimes the man. But we are waking up now. No one wants to be subservient to anyone else any longer. So, how do we avoid these encounters? So, James' question. So she said, by resisting the love at first sight, feeling for a while, by learning to have relationships with members of the opposite sex, platonic relationships with the members of the opposite sex. But remember the process. You must have these relationships only with people who will reveal themselves totally, telling you how and why they are doing what they are doing, just as this would have happened with the opposite sex parent during an ideal childhood. By understanding who these opposite sex friends really are on the inside, one breaks past one's own fantasy projection about that gender, and that releases us to connect again with the universe. Remember, also she continued, that this is not easy, especially if one has to break away from a current codependent relationship. It is a real pulling apart of energy. It hurts, but it must be done. Codependence is not some new melody some of us have. We are all codependent and we are all growing out of it now. The idea is to begin to experience that sense of well-being and euphoria experienced in the first moment of a codependent relationship when you are alone. You get to have him or her on the inside. After that, you evolve forward and can find that special romantic relationship that really fits you. The way to deal with this is to get your energy up and then center yourself again in what you really doing here. Then how to energize us. So she's sharing the wisdom how to energize us, our own self. It says that whenever people cross our path, there is always a message for us. Chance encounters do not exist. But how we respond to these encounters determines whether we are able to receive the message. If we have a conversation with someone who crosses our path and we do not see a message pertaining to our current questions, it does not mean there was no message. It only means we missed it for some reason. The manuscript says that we should do instead in that situation is to stop we are doing, no matter what, and find out the message we have for that person and that the person has for us. The manuscript predicts that once human grasps this reality, our interaction will slow down and become more purposeful and deliberate. The first step is to keep our own energy high. Then we can start the flow of energy coming into us, through us, and into the other person. The more we appreciate their wholeness, their inner beauty, the more the energy flows into them, and naturally, the more that flows into us. The more we can love and appreciate others, the more energy flows into us. That is why loving and energizing others is the best possible thing we can do for ourselves. Because you are giving me more energy than I would have otherwise, I can see what my truth is and more readily give it to you. When I do that, you have a sense of revaluation about what I am saying. This leads you to see my higher self even more fully and so appreciate and focus on it at an even deeper level, which gives me even more energy and greater insight into my truth, and the cycle begins over again. Two or more people doing this together can reach incredible heights as they build up another level, another up, and have it immediately returned. You must understand, though, that is connection is completely different from a codependent relationship. A codependent relationship begins this way, but soon becomes controlling because the addiction cuts them off from their source and the energy runs out. Real projection of energy has no attachment or intention. Both people are just waiting for the messages. If the person we are speaking with is already operating in a control drama and trying to pull us into it, how do we cut through that? James asked. So this is every time, sometimes it happens. So if we fell into the control drama, so how we have to pull from it? The manuscript says, if we do not assume the matching drama, then the person's own drama will fall apart. I repeat it, masters. The manuscript says, if we do not assume the matching drama, then the person's own drama will fall apart. Part of the eighth insight is learning to interact consciously when in a group, but don't get self-conscious. Just understand the process. As the members of a group talk, only one will have the most powerful idea at any one point in the time. If they are alert, the others in the group can feel who is about to speak, and then they can consciously focus their energy onto this person, helping to bring out his idea with the greatest clarity. So this is all about eighth insight. So it's very, very deep to understand, but more than is to allow others first. So what I understood is it's not like just for our sake we have to appreciate others. Genuinely, with pure intention, we have to respect their feelings, respect their appreciate in a good way with pure intention. So and also how we are draining out our own energy. So even unknowingly we are expecting energies, we are expecting love from others. So this is what everyone, so this is what we are, they say that we are only half. We expect the other half from other person. Instead, we have to connect with our own self. This is, so when I'm reading this insight, I got connected with no Shiva and Parvati Mata, who Ardhanariswara we call. So half men and half men. So we all have that energies, the combination of feminine and masculine energy. So so we are not able to balance that properly, or we are not acknowledging that. So that absence, so we are expecting from others, like in a physical form. So the female, she expects the male energy from the other person, and the male expects the love or the feminine energies from female. So when they start to exchange, initially that will be good, and later on so they stop giving energy. This is what happens in a newly married life or in new relationship. So initially they give energies to each other, and slowly, so when we stop giving, this is what the struggle, this is what the no expectation and the struggle starts. So, and about the children also, they have mentioned how we are controlling them, and about more children, having more children. And it's to the parents, but if they are confident to bring up the more children, so equally giving them energies, taking care of them, then yes, but this is how bringing up children, it's not easy. It's not easy. So when I read this insight, I recollected all my daughters. So how I behaved with her, and yes, a few things have changed in me. So thank you so much, masters. This is all about 8th insight, and the coming up the 9th insight. We will go in the next session. The 9th insight, the emerging culture. The last insight from the book Celestine Prophecy. Thank you all. You can, if you want to share, you can unmute, friends. Okay. Then,
yes, Sharada garu.
Yes,
yeah, very beautiful session. So the intensity of the wisdom that was flowing was quite energetic, with all the wisdom that came through in the 8th insight. I think the more we are inching towards the end, the more higher wisdom in a simple way and in a straight way is coming through. Here we learn a lot about looking into ourselves. This is the most base. So Confucius as well, in the 6th century BC, he says how important it is to have a free person, because he says if a country need to flourish, the states and villages must flourish. If villages need to flourish, then the families should flourish. If families should flourish, each person should flourish. For each person to flourish, he has to be free, he has to be open, he has to be spiritual. So this is what we learn. And as you said, again we come through here about children, how important it is. Children, this relationship of having children, and then how they are grown up, and that is influencing them, because they basically see the parents or whoever are bringing them up, and they repeat that control drama as they grow. So it is so very important as parents to be so much into spiritual parenting, so that there is no any control drama that is imposed on them, and rather they become a free individual. And here there is as well Khalil Gibran, who says it is very important for parents to understand that kids come through you and not from you. That's a powerful statement for everyone to realize. And as we see around, when we understand parenting is not just about saying I have my kid and many things, but there is a huge detachment version here in this statement of Khalil Gibran, and that when we understand, we don't drain the energy, but rather we give the right attention and freedom for the kids. So this is such an important thing. And indeed, anyone who plans to have a kid should really have the right wisdom, because it's like they're giving out a new life, and this life is going to change the world as in itself. So it is such an important thing. And we all need to depend on the infinite energy source than being dependent on the energy, pulling the energy or pushing the energy between the people through the control dramas. And that is why it is important that we keep on meditating, because meditation is the source of connecting to the infinite energy. And listening to other people's experience is also very important, because that is when we understand and we fall off from our ego, when we realize there are greater masters always around. That is where we break even our control dramas, because from the fact that we are having greater experiences, greater things, we realize, and we simply become humble, and then we connect to our own freedom through connecting to these, with a regular meditation with these universal energies. And there is one beautiful thing as well here. It says, once we become independent from other people, we realize that there are no chance encounters. These are all encounters that we plan, and there is a purpose behind meeting everyone. When we drop these control dramas, we immediately realize and understand how to help each other, how to grow together. And indeed, people don't come together just for fun. It's never the reason. People come together so that once they become free, this is very important as couple, that once they become free as a couple, there is an infinite empowering journey that is ahead of them. So that's very interesting information that came through today. Thanks a lot, Sharda girl. Very beautiful.
Very, very, very beautifully summarized, sir. And also about shared about other insights as well, other masters. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Yes, Nagendraji, can unmute yourself.
Thank you very much for the beautiful session and the wisdom sharing.
Thank you.
This about dropping the control drama and detachment, and not dependent on one person for the energy. This also can be achieved, as you mentioned, and also I think in the previous, I think Ramji mentioned, if I remember correctly, that non-attachment or something that is actually love itself. So that is also how you I think you mentioned that if you give an unconditional love, then the other person drops his drama, or is disarmed completely. So that's also something to remember. We just cannot walk off, but we have to convert the situation, convert those negative emotions into positive emotions, and love is the tool here. So that is something I wanted to add here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And yes, Prince, we sometimes this power of struggle, power for the struggle or control dramas. So when we have to be aware what's going on with us, so it's like with us. So when we are aware of what going on within us, so when we are not part of the drama, then definitely we can help ourselves first. So first we have to help ourselves, and next, so when we are helping ourselves, so immediately the conscious shifts, the conscious get shift, and unknowingly, like we need not, like with not even the words, even the silence, the calmness, the pleasant calmness, not the calmness that I'm going to stop this argument. No, the calmness that it is really feeling, like when we are feeling pleasant from the inside, that pleasantness, that calmness is also helps the other person. So this is sometimes, yes, we can try. It always depends on us, right? So thank you so much. Get all no sharing. So, sir, can we end the session?
Yes, Shantagaru.
Yeah. Thank you and namaste, masters. I'll meet again the next week with 9th Insight. Thank you all.